What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Raid Shadow Legends, and going to be doing kind of a fun video today. We're on the main account. We're going to be taking a look at a cool Shadowkin champion that I just recently pulled, a champion I've been wanting to get for quite a while because she does have a pretty neat little kit, and she's a champion that not too many people talk about, so I wanted to kind of feature her, do a little spotlight and showcase on her. And we'll get just into that in here in a minute. First, I want to stop off the Great Haul. I always like to do that before any of these champion videos, just so you guys can kind of see how my Great Haul will affect them. Now, we are going to be using a Magic champion today, so you can kind of see how we have our Great Haul built out there, which will be affecting our stats a little bit. I always like to do this just so you guys can get a little bit of an idea of how we're getting some of those extra stats. Very important to always work on your Great Haul, build it up as much as you can so you can build champions a little bit better with those extra stats. So let's go down here, and we're going to be talking about an epic champion today, and it is going to be Chani from the Shadowkin faction. Now, I was always really interested in this champion because she has a very cool look to her. She's got a very nice outfit here. The aesthetics are really cool. She's got this little cape with the fur. She's got the really cool bow and arrow. Of course, like all the other Plarium champions, there's no string on the bow, which is pretty hilarious. And kind of a neat little helm she's got here with the arrows sticking out of it. So overall, just a very cool looking champion. And the first time I looked at her kit, I was actually kind of surprised no one had really done anything with her, because she's got a very kind of jack of all trades kit, very similar to someone like Aox from Lizardmen. And actually, I kind of thought of her as an Aox replacement, possibly for Clan Boss. We're going to take a look at that here in just a little bit. But let's first just jump in here and talk a little bit about her kit. Her A1 is Insidious Arrow. It has a 40% chance of placing a 25% poison sensitivity debuff for 2 turns. That's going to allow any poison damage to do a little bit extra damage there. Now, the interesting thing is she doesn't actually have any poison in her kit. So when I first saw this, I'm like, well, it would be kind of neat to put her with another poisoner, especially someone like Frozen Banshee, because Frozen Banshee obviously needs that poison sensitivity to land her poison. Even though she does have that in her kit, this actually makes it a little bit easier to use Frozen Banshee somewhere like in Clan Boss, or as we're going to see here in a little bit, some of the dungeons. So kind of a cool little A1. It's got a little bit of extra utility to it when you usually just get kind of a basic A1. We did go ahead and fully book her. I did build her during Clan versus Clan, so got some extra points with those epic books. Soulfire, her A2, is a very cool ability, puts a 50% increased accuracy buff on her and an increased attack buff on her, and then puts an HP burn for 2 turns if the attack is critical. So I did build her crit capped. I realized later that might have been a mistake. We'll talk about why here in a minute when we look at her passive. So I could have had some room to put some extra stats in the build. Maybe I'll revisit that later. But you can see there, it puts the HP burn, which is really good, as you're going to see on some of the bosses we're going to be using her against as well. Now, her A3 is really where it's at. This is Shower of Misery. Attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. So this is why I really did like this champion, because if you think about Aox, he does give you that debuff extension, but he has to be hit in order for that to take place. With her, you're just getting a 50-50 shot of basically increasing the duration of all debuffs on all the enemies you're fighting. So this is really great on mobs. It's really great on the Clan Boss. It's pretty good on bosses you're trying to get debuffs extended on. As again, you'll see, we're going to go through a couple battles here. It's 50-50. She is just an epic champion, so I guess that's kind of expected with her. She's not a legendary. You would hope for a higher chance on that with like a legendary champion, but really, really solid A3. That's going to help you out if you're trying to keep those poisons, keep up those HP burns. So that's why I just kind of thought of her as a champion that really pairs well with anybody that's going to be putting out those types of debuffs. Attack down, so you can see where she kind of really comes in as being kind of a solid Clan Boss champion option if you are looking for someone to use as just someone to extend those debuffs and also put out a little bit of HP burn and some other things. Now, she's got an interesting passive here, which unfortunately I didn't take into account until it was too late. So that's just a dumb move on my part, but it increases her crit rate by 0.05% for every point of accuracy that she has. And we'll look at that here in a second. Now, my aura here, increase ally accuracy in all battles by 40, which is a pretty solid aura. Anytime you can get more accuracy is always a good thing. But you can see here, I actually built her basically with 251 accuracy. So I didn't really need to crit cap her. I could have built her with a lot less crit rate, but I'm kind of just in the the mood where I always try to crit cap a champion, and I didn't consider her passive when I was building her. So we went with the crit rate gloves, maxed out at 60%. and actually put her well over 100% crit rate. You can see her total stats here. 117 crit rate, which, like I said, way too high. So at some point we would want to try to rebuild her, get that crit rate from the accuracy passive, and then probably give her a little bit more health, because she does have 3,000 defense, but she's a little squishy on the health. I'd like to have her between 40 and 50,000. But for what we're going to be using her for, it's more than enough. And as always, I try to tailor these showcases to people who are more mid-game, who are building up their champion roster. This is not designed for anybody that's end-game who's going to have awesome gear. This is just to kind of give you an idea of what this champion can do when you're working through those level 20 dungeons, brutal, nightmare, clan boss, to help you out a little bit. So keep that in mind as we go through here. But yeah, one mistake I did make on her was crit capping her when I could have just gotten that from the accuracy with her passive. So that's kind of another cool thing if you're going to be using her, trying to get a little bit extra damage. You can build her with a lot of accuracy, and then you don't have to necessarily go with the crit rate. We could have put an HP % glove or something there to give her a little bit more survivability, or even a crit damage glove to give her more damage when she is in those boss battles. So that's kind of how we have her built out. We'll go through the gear here real quick. We actually do have a defense ring on her with some good HP rolls. I was kind of looking for both there, because we're thinking clan boss, we want AHP and the defense. We went with an HP amulet on her as well for survivability, because I realized too late in the build, I'm like, she doesn't really have a lot of HP, so we kind of want to get that built up a little bit. And then we did go with a defense banner, because I already had enough accuracy built on her from my other gear. So you can kind of see here, we got the crit rate gloves, we've got a defense. Chest only 5-star, unfortunately. I'd like to get that to a 6-star. And then I just kind of threw her in some general lifesteal gear that I had laying around, just because I was planning on using her in clan boss. So we got the boots there with a nice accuracy roll. We did get a triple speed roll on the shield, which is pretty good. Some accuracy, crit rate, speed there on the helmet. And then a triple crit rate roll on the weapon, which is pretty cool, with a little bit of extra accuracy there. And of course, we did use some glyphs. Take a look at her masteries here, just pretty standard setup for kind of a debuff. Clan boss setup going down to War Master. Got a chance to reset some cooldowns. Lore of Steel to help build up some of those stats there from the accuracy, and obviously want to be trying to replace those debuffs she's got too. So just kind of a general look at her real quick there, taking a look at her kit and everything. Really cool champion. So what we're going to do now, I'm actually going to take her into a couple areas of the game. We're going to go into Doom Tower. We're going to go into Clan Boss. We're going to take a look at some of the dungeons as well, and kind of show her off a little bit and let her show what she can do. Alright, first stop, we're going to be in the Hard Doom Tower. This is some of the hardest content I've been working on my account lately. We're going to be fighting the Eternal Dragon on floor 40 of the Hard Doom Tower. It's the only Eternal Dragon I've progressed to so far. I'm working on the other floors, but thought he would be a good test of some of Chani's kit here. Now, you are going to see we are manualing here right at the start. What I did to make sure that the powers would go off in the order I wanted them to was I manual through the second wave. I wanted to make sure that she got her debuff extension out right away. So what we had done here is we had Aox come out and throw his attack down up, and then we were able to have Chani extend it. Really important you keep attack down up on the Eternal Dragon, because he does hit incredibly hard. Other than that, we're going to basically play through this on automatic, but we're going to make sure we're targeting the two adds that he drops out that do have the shields and the spears, because those are the ones, if he consumes them, he's going to heal himself, and then you'll basically never be able to kill him. There is the other ad, the priest, that pops up. It's okay if he consumes that ad, because we are tough enough to basically tank his extra turn. That's one of the big keys on this boss in order to getting through him, is making sure your champions are built pretty durable, having pretty good toughness, and even bringing some tanky champions in to help with that. Chani here is really not built for this boss, because her stats are kind of low. Like I said earlier, her HP is not quite where I would want it to be. So she is going to possibly drop here, but basically we just want her in to get that increased debuff duration. And once that's up a couple of times, we're really not going to have to worry too much about it, because the dragon's going to have attack down on him basically the whole time. He's going to have an HP burn up on him basically the entire time. He does have poison sensitivity here. We're not really trying to take too much advantage of that. I don't think Aox's accuracy is high enough to land it here in the hard tower, but he's just putting out that attack down, which we want to keep on the boss. And then we have Drexthar Blood Twin, who's basically here for the HP burn to keep that out there, and then plus any time he gets attacked. So pretty tough team with Sir Nick, Drexthar, Syl, and Aox are all built pretty sturdy. And then we have Chani. We saw her build earlier. Like I said, I didn't really build her with this in mind. I built her more for the dungeons. to use her there. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? She'd actually be pretty good against this boss with the right build. So if I was going to use her in hard Doom Tower, obviously I would rebuild her out of the lifesteal gear she's in now and give her a much tankier build and just put a ton of accuracy on her to make sure she's landing her debuffs on the boss. But you can see here, really not much of an issue, even here on hard floor 40. Again, it's not going to be a record fast time. That's not really what I'm going for here. I just kind of want to show off this champion so you guys can see what she can do with her kit. But like I said, we're basically able to keep up the debuffs on the dragon boss here for most of the fight. She does drop here because we did not have attack down up. It did fall off, unfortunately, but thankfully the rest of my champions are pretty tanky here, and Syl's going to be able to pick her up at some point. We really don't even have to worry about it at this point. It's pretty much over with because we have enough HP burn up on the boss to pretty much take him down. That's kind of the general strategy here. You know, just get those debuffs up on the Eternal Dragon. Make sure he's not hitting you hard enough to do serious damage, and you can pretty much get through him. You know, it's not too bad at all to get through the boss. So there we go. We get a res up. Chani's back in the game. She might be able to do a little bit here before we finish this off, but this fight is pretty much over with. Not too bad. You know, decent run here on the hard Doom Tower level 40. And, you know, this is definitely a team we could farm this with if we put Chani into a little bit better gear. You can see there, obviously, Drexar is going to be doing a lot of the damage there with the HP burn, but Chani helping him keep that up all the time. Along with Aox, you're getting a little bit of debuff extension from him, too, when you take those hits. So kind of a nice little tandem there, running them together. That's kind of why I like her. You can kind of run her with other champions and really get a nice advantage for it. All right, moving on from Doom Tower Hard, we are now going to jump into Clan Boss with Chani. This is going to be a run on Nightmare. We did get the Magic Affinity today, so I thought it would be a good chance to run her. I wish it had been Spirit. I'll go ahead and throw up a screenshot I took from running her on Brutal, which was Spirit today. For our clan, this is kind of a team I just put together. It's a general team I use to test with. And if we, you know, if I need to run a Brutal key on this account, I do have the Bat Eater that I one key Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare with, so I don't really necessarily need to worry too much about having other Clan Boss champions. But I kind of put this team together with Jureg, Frozen Banshee, Rosin, and Skullcrusher. I was using Aox, and that's who I put Chani in for here for her debuff duration increase. But this kind of mirrors the team I use my free-to-play account. So it's actually kind of cool. It allows me to test things on the main account before I decide to make changes or build things on the free-to-play, so it helps me conserve some resources. On that account, it's also kind of nice to just have a general Clan Boss team that's more relatable to people who are coming up through the game. They may not all have those unkillables. They may be having to put together the more traditional Clan Boss team with an attack down with decreased defense, with the Skullcrusher with the counter attack. So I kind of want to just run this. I like running this on Brutal and Nightmare whenever I do make these videos. Because again, I'm aiming the content more toward people that are just, you know, coming up through the game, trying to figure things out, and showing them whether or not I think a champion is worth investing in at that level. So you're going to see Chani here. She's going to be putting out some HP burns. She's going to be helping us extend the poisons, the poison sensitivity, extend the attack down when we do land it. On the Clan Boss there, again, that's coming out with her A3, which is one of her better abilities on her kit. Just a really solid kit in general. She's going to do a decent amount of damage here as well, because we do have her in War Master. As I mentioned, also, same thing in Hard Doom Tower. Her HP is nowhere near what I would like it to be, so she's not really sturdy enough, in my opinion, for this. And like I said before, I made the mistake of building too much crit rate on her with that passive she has. So in hindsight, when I do rebuild her, she'll be much more sturdy, between 40 and 50,000 HP, and we'll probably not worry about getting her crit rate up as high, since we are getting that bonus from her accuracy that's going to be up there as well if we do decide to use her further in, like, say, the Hard Doom Tower. But she's got enough to work here, you know, whether you're running her in Brutal or Nightmare. Obviously, you guys hopefully will have better gear that you can put on her to make her a little bit more durable. But the most important thing is that she's just landing her debuffs. She is an attack champion, but we're not really relying on her to do a ton of damage. We're really hoping Frozen Banshee and Rosin are going to take care of that. We're going to have the counterattacks coming in. But we just really want to get that poison sensitivity out and keep it up on the Clan Boss along with all those other debuffs. And that's where her increase debuff duration kind of comes in here. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit, and we'll jump back in at the end and check out how they're able to do. All right, looks like we're coming up on the end here. We're starting to lose our champions. Unfortunately, we're going to be just short of a 2 key. Obviously, if Chani had a little bit more HP and was built a little bit better, I think we'd be able to 2 key this pretty easily. But again, this is kind of just a general team we threw together. The gear on these guys isn't amazing. But you can see there she came in with a pretty decent amount of damage. Frozen Banshee obviously going to be carrying the load for us here. But that's kind of a look at how she can perform in the clan boss. So let's go ahead and move on to some other dungeons and take a look at her there. All right, guys, first we're going to make a real quick stop in the Spirit Keep. It was the Potion Keep open today. Chani is Magic Affinity, so she is strong here. And, of course, just wanted to show off her putting out that increased debuff duration, a little bit of her HP burn here, and show how much damage she can do as well. Now, I was kind of hoping we get to land some of the heal reduction debuffs on the Spirit boss with our Cold Heart so we could extend those. This is one of those bosses that can be kind of annoying because if you don't have the right setup, she'll continually heal herself to full. I don't really think it made much of a difference here because this team is pretty strong and we kind of just went in here and got through it pretty quick. Got a little bit of a delay here because of this stupid Crimson Helm they put in here when she gets that block damage up, and it just is really annoying if you didn't bring a debuff or a buff removal champion. So she's going to sit there and just take damage for like a good 30 seconds. There's really not much we can do about it. Unfortunately, just kind of have to let that buff fall off of her, and then we'll eventually move on to the boss. But you can see Chani there just using all her different skills. She's got the poison sensitivity, the HP burn. It's going to help Draco do a little bit more damage, and then she's also going to increase the debuff duration, which is nice, keeps it up there for quite a while. But you can see here, we nuke this boss down pretty quick before the heal reduction would ever become any kind of an issue. All right, guys, we're going to get started here with everyone's least favorite dungeon. We are in Ice Golem 20. I went ahead and just started here in the second wave so we could kind of get through a little bit of the time on the first. You can see a little team I put together here. We've got Jareg in the lead. We've got Scylla Drakes, Frozen Banshee, Chani, and then we do have Taragi the Frog, who is also in the Shadowkin, and kind of a really cool champion that is also pretty awesome, and someone who's got some utility with Chani in that faction, possibly if you're thinking about it for faction wars, because anytime he takes a hit, he can put a poison debuff on the enemy. So she does have a little bit of synergy with a couple champions in her own faction, like Fenchi, who puts out the poison, and then Taragi also, who's got that ability. So kind of cool. The other thing, too, is you could always put Chani in a poison set, in the toxic set, to try to take advantage of that A1 that she has, or like I said, just pair her up with somebody like Frozen Banshee. So what we're mainly going to be looking for here is to try to get our attack down on the Ice Golem. We're going to be trying to get our HP burn up on the Ice Golem. We've got one poison there. You see where he just hit Taragi with that attack. Taragi placed that poison with his passive. So what we're going to hopefully get now is we'll start to get these debuffs going, and then Chani will hit that increased debuff duration. You can see it did put the poison up to 3 turns on the Ice Golem there. Because that's actually one of the ways you want to try to bring down the Ice Golem, is just keeping a ton of debuffs on him, because if you hit him really, really hard, if you're trying to nuke him, he's going to hit you really, really hard right back, and sometimes wipe your team. So just kind of a fun little team we got here. Okay, so we've got poison sensitivity up now, we've got HP burn up now, we've got the speed down. Really would like to land an attack down on him if we could. Gonna have to, it's on auto, so you know we can't really control where Jareg goes. He's gonna try to attack those minions before he goes after the Ice Golem, but with Chani's A3, since it does hit everybody, it's going to help us keep the rest of those debuffs going up on everybody. So not going to be a fast team here. Again, that's not the point of the video. That we're just trying to showcase this champion, kind of show off what she can do, and this is going to allow you to see, you know, how she puts out that debuff extension, the duration there. To see she hit it just again. So we're keeping speed down on the Ice Golem, keeping his turn meter from coming back too quick, keeping that poison up on him as well with the poison sensitivity. So we do a little bit of extra damage. Whenever he's going to take a turn, he's going to, you know, get those debuffs. The revive, obviously, really annoying. If I was doing this normally, I'd have a Neathway Blood Twin in my team because he is my block revive. Whenever I do run the Ice Golem, I like to take that quest where you have to, I think it's what, block revive 100 times. I just put a Neathway in and get that done pretty easily. But you can see here, she's basically doing what she's supposed to do. She's just extending those debuffs, putting out a little bit of HP burn, and helping both our poison champions, you know, Frozen Banshee and Taragi, get a little bit of extra damage. You see that Toxic Blood passive trigger on Taragi. That's what sticks that poison back onto the enemies there whenever he hits it. So just kind of an interesting little team. I'm actually kind of curious to see if I can use Chani in the clan, not clan boss, but faction wars when it does start out, because we do have Taragi and Fenchi on this account, so it might be kind of cool to see how she works with them, although I do have a lot of the Shadowkin legendaries, so I'm probably just going to try to face roll it with them and see what happens. But she's a pretty cool champion, like I said, and just really wanted to showcase here. We are going to lose Taragi. He's going to take a little nap here. It's mainly because we can't get the attack down up on the Ice Golem, because on auto drag, you know, I wish he would actually prioritize his target, but you can't really get the champions to do that on auto battle just yet. But we got enough debuffs stacked on the Ice Golem. He's going to kill himself here pretty soon. Anyways, probably his next turn. Yeah, he's going to go down. So there you go. Just kind of a look there. You see Chani actually comes in with 1.5 million damage. So she's going to hit pretty hard as well. She kept up there with Taragi and with Syl the Drake. So pretty good there. We got some gear drops. These are 5-star, so I'm probably going to sell both of these. I'm at the point of my account where I just keep 6-star gear. But we got the super raids in, so we got 2 gear pieces. So let's go ahead and jump from Ice Golem. We're going to go into Dragon, and we're going to see how she can do in there. Alright guys, we're going to jump into Dragon 20 now, running kind of a different team here. We do have Chani in the lead for her accuracy aura. We're still going to be bringing Frozen Banshee along. We have Syl the Drakes again. And I do have War Maiden for my decreased defense here in this team. And then Cold Heart for a little bit of extra damage when we do get to the boss. We don't really have much protection here, so we're going to have to rely on just blowing through these mobs. Hopefully Syl will keep everybody alive and prevent us from looking bad in the video. We also do have War Maiden on this account in a stun set. I did a video on that a while back, whereas when it got to the point I didn't need her in arena anymore for decreased defense, I put her in a very high speed, high accuracy stun set. And I bring her along in a lot of my dungeon teams wherever she lands that big decreased defense. She's also got a chance to stun some of the mobs. It's really helpful, like in Fire Knight especially, and even here in Dragon a little bit. This isn't the normal team I run in Dragon. I usually run a speed team with multiple Cold Hearts. And Lydia, and just blow through all this, but again, we're just trying to showcase what Chani can do here with the debuff extension and the rest of her kit. Just a very solid champion overall, and you know, paired up with the Poisoner with that extra poison sensitivity, it's really going to help us get through these bosses pretty quickly. You can see there we got the debuff extension from her when she uses that A3. Poison sensitivity's out. We got a ton of poison up on the dragon, which again is the quickest way to bring him down, unless you're just going with a straight up nuke team on Dragon 20 or even some of the later Dragon stages. And I think she actually will come in handy later on if you try to run her through like Dragon 21 through 25. It's just that, again, for the purpose of this video, we just kind of want to go through, showcase her in like the level 20 dungeons, because most of the people that watch my content are usually coming up through the game and trying to find a champion that can help them out. So actually not a bad time, right under 2 minutes. Again, she comes in with a pretty decent amount of damage, 592,000 there. Cold Heart obviously is going to do a good bit with her Heartseeker on the boss, and then Frozen Banshee with a pretty good amount there with that poison sensitivity being up all the time. Really helps her be able to you know, put out a little bit of extra damage with those poisons. So kind of a nice look there at what Chani can do in the dungeons. We'll take a look here. The Spirit Keep was open before, so we were able to use her in the Spirit Keep. I'll throw up a little clip of that so you guys can see her going through there. Mainly I was trying to get her to extend the heal reduction debuff on the boss, but we killed the boss too fast before it mattered. But it's still nice to see her get the debuff extension out, and you know, the HP burns, the other things she's throwing out there with her kit. But let's go ahead and head on back to the champion page, and we'll take a final look at her, and I'll give you guys my final thoughts on whether or not she's worth building. Alright guys, actually one little piece of bonus content we're going to throw in here. I actually did decide to go ahead and throw her into a Dragon 24 run to see how she could handle it there. Again, this is probably not going to be a very fast run. We have kind of a different team in. I went ahead and threw Draco in there as the Poisoner, primary Poisoner, because he can put out that decreased defense. And the weekend, we've got Champfort in as our lead for a little bit of extra HP and survivability. Syl the Drakes, again, I use her pretty much everywhere, so here she is. And we do have Taragi in for a little bit of extra tankiness and also to get that poison passive of his going out. We really shouldn't need much in the way of poison since we are running Draco here. But since we don't really have a nuke team going here, I wanted to make sure we had a ton of poison to take advantage of the poison sensitivity and also get that debuff extension going on with Chani's A3. So we're going to let these guys run through here, see how they can do. This is probably one of the most annoying waves in the game with that Crimson Helm. You can put up that block damage. Usually she'll sit there and tank your group for a couple of minutes and it just gets really annoying. But we've got that debuffs out on her, so hopefully we can take her out before she does any shenanigans. Should be just fine here. And we'll see what happens. All right, we're on to the dragon. Again, this is dragon 24, so a little bit tougher than dragon 20. But we're going to be throwing a bunch of poisons out, a bunch of debuffs. And hopefully we'll have Chani be able to extend those, keep those poisons up on the dragon, so he really will not be able to do much. Get a little bit of HP burn out there as well. And with that decreased attack, we're really not going to have to worry too much about him taking our team out. Look at all those poisons up there on the debuff bar. It's absolutely crazy. But that's kind of how ridiculous Draco is. He's just so good in so many areas. And then Chani's going to come out with a little HP burn there. And we're just keeping all kinds of debuffs, increasing that duration. She's just got such a great kit, I think, for a champion that's not really, I want to say overlooked, because I don't really think too many people are very aware of her. And then 211, really not a bad time on Dragon 24. You know, I would be okay with that, putting that on auto battles to go farm while I'm away doing something else. So really not too bad. Pretty solid little team there. Obviously, Draco coming in with that big poison damage. And then Chani there with about 1 million. So she's doing pretty good. Got that War Master to give her a little bit extra damage. But I wanted to go ahead and just take her into a harder dungeon so you guys can kind of see. Obviously, she's positive affinity there with the Spirit Dragon. So we were able to kind of showcase her and show that she is viable to use in a lot of these other areas of the game. Like we showed her on Hard Doom Tower earlier, so you kind of know you'll be able to get some good value out of her even in some harder content in the game. Alright guys, so we're back in the champion page for one final look at Chani. Again, just to give my final thoughts on this champion. I think she's a really solid epic, and if you pull her early enough in your account, she is definitely worth working on just because of the uniqueness of her kit and all the different things it allows you to do. Obviously, we're going to really talk about that A3 and the debuff extension. Just a really solid champion to use pretty much everywhere. She's good in clan boss, she's good in dungeons. Even against some of the Doom Tower bosses, we saw her against the Eternal Dragon there, basically extending those attack down, HP burns and everything, which is really, really solid, even there in the hard Doom Tower. So I think she's definitely a champion worth a look if you have her on your roster. She's a lot like Aox the Rememberer. We're just a kit that's really good throughout the game. As long as you've got that positive affinity matchup, she's going to do pretty well for you, I think. Only place I really wouldn't see her being used is Arena. Which is fine, you know, not every champion is going to be used in Arena, but she allows you to do so much extra content everywhere throughout the game. I think she's definitely worth a look. The only thing is she does take a good amount of books. You can see here we used 6 there on the A1. We have 5 on the A2, which I didn't quite finish yet, and then another 4 on the A3. So pretty book intensive, like a lot of the champions are these days, especially the newer ones. But I think she's actually worth it. I think she's going to give you a lot of good times in the dungeons, especially if you like I was saying before, if you're like a mid-game account and you're looking for that champion to kind of help you out, give you that utility all across the board. You know, she's going to be great in the Ice Golem, great in the Dragon. I'm sure, you know, you could probably even figure out a way to use her in Spider with the HP burn and then a debuff spreader. I'm trying to remember the champion's name. It might be Hackhorn Greatblade, or I can't remember. There's a lot of champions in the game who can actually spread the debuffs to everybody else. Like a Magnar would work too in that situation. You could throw out that HP burn from Chani and then get somebody else to spread it on the Spiderlings. That's probably a little too complicated, but you know, you could probably make it work if you had to. But overall, just a really great champion. I had a lot of fun building her. She's somebody I really wanted to highlight for a long time. So like I said, I just don't see too many people using her or talking about her. And she's a newer champion, so easy to overlook her since she's in the Shadowkin faction. And they have a lot of really, really good champions that other people are focusing on. So like I said, if you pulled her and you're looking for somebody to help you out in those dungeons, even in the Doom Tower, she's going to be really good. Anybody that can extend debuffs is going to be great for getting through bosses and mobs, keeping those poisons and HP burns and things up. And it's going to be great in the clan boss too. That's probably going to be where she's going to excel for a lot of people, especially if you've got really good gear to put on her. So anyways, guys, that was a look at Chani, the Magic Shadowkin Attack champion, kind of a jack of all trades, very cool champion. Let me know what you guys think about this champion down below. Let me know if you have any questions at all about anything that you saw in the video. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you again next time.